Daniel was to be introduced to a new series of Sabbaths. I read that. Verse 25 tells us that the event that will trigger the 490 year is a decree seen in Nehemiah 2 and 5. Seen in Nehemiah 2 and 5. Daniel received the 62 between the giving of the decree and the arrival of the Messiah, the capital P Prince in Jerusalem. And we already talked about that being there. Now, here's something else that's to keep in mind, that a prophetic year in the Bible are not 365 days, but 360 days long, as it has been calculated by scholars. Now, that certainly means the way we tell time on the Geo-Roman calendar today is not the same calendar that they used back in antiquity. And so on your chart, I just copied it. The solar and lunar method of tabulating time are both identified on there. So, and then really the Jews had their own calendar, as a matter of fact, but that's what that's about. But here's what really the climax of today's lesson is. A prophecy that was given 445 years before Jesus was born was to the exact day that Jesus rode into Jerusalem during the time of the Passover, and he presented himself officially as Israel's Messiah. To the exact day, the timeline predicted that. And then they cut him off, which is a phrase that means they crucified him. And that's what this time that we live in is all about. It is about the mystery of the church being God's economy since this crucifixion and rejection of Christ, the beginning and end of that economy, and then the fulfillment of the remainder of Daniel's prophecy, and along with John the Apostle and Ezekiel, those things have got to come to pass. Also remember, we won't be here to experience these things because they don't begin. The final week does not begin until after the rapture. So Christian people don't have any thing other than knowledge and awareness and witnessing to other people. They have nothing to be really concerned about as far as the judgment, the wrath of God and all that, because we'll be gone. Okay, now that brings us to the end of today's lesson. If you read Ezekiel chapter 40 in particular, but actually chapter 36 through 40, before next week, we're going to deal with this same outline of the last day, but also we're going to talk about this temple that evidently has got to be built in order for them to have the opportunity to start their sacrificial offerings and to have them cut off. I've spent a lot of time looking into that, and we're going to talk about that and see what y'all think about it. Okay, now you had a question. Yes, ma'am. I told you don't forget that question.
How do you tell the difference between God's miracle?
That, and we're going to talk about that and see what y'all think about it. Okay, now you had a question. Yes, ma'am. I told you don't forget that question.